You want someone to tame your tiger?
Speaking of giant cats, welcome to the Beacon House podcast, guys.
That's right. Get your paws on us.
Welcome to the Beacon House podcast, recorded live in Knoxville, Tennessee.
And that's how I helped Stam single-handedly tame those tigers.
Oh, yeah, he's talking about the Auburn game.
Shit.
Yeah, Stam fucking posted it. Can we talk about it real quick?
Yeah, the score was Auburn 84, Tennessee 64.
Oh, is it over? Is
and
the game
Auburn
over?
won the SEC championship.
Is the game over now?
Yes, it is.
Oh, fuck, man. Our coworker, James, texted me. I had no context. I was literally just trying to get ready and get down here. And he texted me. He had been texting, go Vols, at like 1 o'clock when the game started. And then at 2:52, he said, well, we beat Kentucky, and now we can't do jack shit against Auburn. And I had, again, no context. I was just like, oh, things must not be going very well with the game. And then, yeah, I roasted Stam earlier on Facebook because he did, what is his Facebook post? It had a hashtag tame the tigers or whatever. And I was like, God. You just put that on social media, right? You want someone to tame your tiger?
Speaking of giant cats, welcome to the Beacon House podcast, guys.
That's right. Get your paws on us.
Can we get rid of funny beginnings and just do Spencer slogans?
Spencer slogans. I'm going to put you in potato corner. Even know what that's from?
No.
Google it.
Is it also from Orgasmo, the movie you're trying to tell us to watch?
No, you've got to watch Orgasmo, but that's from actually a clip of, do you know who Ellie Kemper is? The girl, she's Kimmy Schmidt on Netflix, but
yes.
She was on The Office too. And occasionally she hosts the Ellen show, like when Ellen can't be there. And I think she is so funny. And she does all these, there's one, just Google it, but she's like Christmas wrapping in a mall and just really badly. And like people walk by with like some ice cream and she'll go, hey, you want me to wrap that? And she like wraps this lady's ice cream up. And there's some weird thing next to the gift wrap shop called Potato Corner. And it's just this like little booth where you face, they probably used to serve like baked potatoes there or something. And she keeps telling everybody, if you don't stop telling me how to wrap these presents, I'm going to put you in Potato Corner. Anyway, I'm probably going to edit all this out, but
what a spud of a joke.
Shut up.
That was feces.
Don't smirk and point at us like you did something proud.
Yeah, but if there are any professional like lion tamers or anything out there listening, Eric Stam is in the market for somebody to tame his tiger.
Did something proud. What the fuck was I saying?
What the fuck is a lion tamer going to do with a tiger?
So anyway, speaking of big cats, did you guys hear that lady that got attacked by the jaguar at the Arizona Zoo? Did you hear what she finally said?
You mean the jaguar? Yes.
What did she say?
She finally came out and said that, yes, she was at fault for climbing over the barrier.
I heard she made a statement. I heard it was, ouch!
No.
Well, in the video, she does say ouch and then it hurts. She's like, ow, 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 ow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is she really?
Big surprise.
And also in the video, her arm is flayed open like a fish. Like, it's rough watching that video. It's pretty gross.
Why do you watch this stuff? Don't answer that.
Yeah.
Finish your thing first.
So anyways, she stated that, yes, she was at fault for climbing over the barrier, but Arizona Zoo probably needs to move the barrier back a little bit, in which I posted on Facebook, no, you just need to respect the barrier that's already in place, dum-dum.
Yes. And speaking of respecting the barrier, it's 18 days until the new Pet Sematary movie, guys. What do you think?
I think sometimes dead is better. I don't know. Why are they?
I think you don't want to go down that road.
Listen, I've said it from the beginning, after the second trailer where they showed basically the biggest change of the movie, which is it looks like the daughter is going to be the one that bites the dust and not the baby. Instead of the baby boy. I think that's a great move because I feel like it's more realistic and scary from that aspect than from like a little 2-year-old toddler running around with a knife cutting off people's Achilles tendons.
I don't know.
That happens?
I think that's what that
scarier.
is. A stare. Oh, God.
Either way, I think it looks great, and I'm ready for it. I'm totally ready for a retelling of the story. I've separated it in my mind from the previous Pet Sematary. Like my romanticized childhood love affair with horror that centered around that movie, and my obsession with like the death or man's struggle with death. All that stuff has been compartmentalized, and I'm ready to see the new movie in all of its glory.
The review embargo lifted shockingly early, and against all expectation, they said that Shazam is the best DC movie that's come out since Superman with Christopher Reeve.
Cool. Where were you reading these reviews? In a toilet?
So, anyways, back to Pet Sematary.
Sorry.
That's where most things
Real
that
quick,
come out of DC have gone lately.
Oh shit!
God, can we not go into the superhero movie argument again?
We can. It's okay.
I get it. Hunter loves
We can,
DC. Spencer loves Marvel.
Hunter
and
loves
I just like
DICK.
superhero movies.
Shit. I'm not going to be able to be serious today. This is just bad. Casey
Says the guy with Spider-Man's webs all over his face.
Casey, steer us somewhere, please.
Oh man, have you guys seen Pet Sematary 2?
I have.
Wait, what?
Written
No.
and directed by the same person who did the first one.
Was it really?
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
Is it? I want to watch it, but I'm afraid that it's going to be too bad.
It's got that weird guy that he plays the sheriff. And God, I can't remember his name. He's like a big oafish guy, and he's been in like a ton of things. And he plays like a pretty good like I'm a dead weird sheriff guy that terrorizes all these kids and stuff. But it's just not. I don't know. It was.
Does it play with the themes of the first one at least, or is it just
It
hey,
kind
he's
of
dead
does,
and he's
but
alive?
it's not. I don't think it was endorsed by Stephen King, and it was like written by somebody else. And there never was a sequel to Pet Sematary. Like
Well, Stephen King has endorsed some stinkers in his time.
that's true.
too,
That's true.
so-
Not always made the best decisions. Again, I think he has a body of work that's hard to license properly.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the stories he tells are so cerebral.
Is that the guy?
Fucking that guy.
Clancy Brown?
Yeah. You mean Lex Luthor in the DC stuff?
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh well, he's in it, and he's pretty good in it. Actually, he plays real creepy dude. I think I think early in the movie he gets killed and brought back from the dead, and then he's sort of like a bad guy, but then not. He kind of becomes like a good guy. Anyway, it's totally not worth seeing. But if you're bored, whatever.
He's the commanding officer in Starship Troopers that throws the knife into Jake Busey's hand on the wall. Do you remember that?
Never saw it.
Really?
Never
I
saw
haven't seen it.
Starship
Since I
Troopers.
was
That would be right up your alley.
They're making a TV
same,
show.
But
Did you hear that?
What?
I didn't know
They're
that.
making a Starship Troopers TV show.
Casper Van Dien involved?
I'm sure.
Weird.
He's not doing anything else.
I'm out otherwise.
Strange.
He was a great
I also
Tarzan.
heard that they're doing Time Bandits as a series.
Yep.
What?
Yeah. How crazy? Did you ever see Time Bandits?
Which one is that?
The fucking movie with all the midgets and stuff.
Nope.
No,
I was
you
thinking
can't
of Time
say that.
Cop.
Why?
Can't say
Is
that.
that not
It's little people.
Little people.
Is it really?
Yes. Mhm.
Is that a medical term? Little people?
I think
Or is that a child's term out of a fucking storybook in second grade? Is it really not okay to say is midget not an actual term?
Not anymore. No, you can't say that anymore.
Well, what about somebody that has advanced dwarfism?
You can call him dwarf.
So it's okay to call somebody a fucking dwarf, but not a midget?
I don't know.
I give up. I can't exist in the world today.
It's like social Darwinism at its finest.
It's something.
Here's what I love about the Time Bandits thing. I had to look it up just to make sure, but Taika Waititi, the guy that did Thor Ragnarok, is the one that's going to be
Doing Time
show
Bandits?
running.
I'm on board.
Whoa.
Fly of the Conchords,
That
What
makes
We Do
a
in the
lot of
Shadows.
sense.
Such a good movie.
And let me tell you something. The movie Time Bandits, I was not like super attached to it, but it was fucking legendary. It was so weird. It was so English. It was almost like fucking Monty Python got together with Clive Barker, and then they went and saw like Steven Spielberg, and they decided to make a crazy like space, like fucking slash Beastmaster type time. It's crazy. It's definitely an original movie. There's no movie that I've ever seen like Time Bandits. It's so weird.
Yeah. Think Peter Dinklage is going to be lead
Dude,
actor?
I don't think they can afford him. But
Probably
he would
not.
be the perfect guy to be the star of it.
He's in a movie. Oh my god, it's a post-apocalyptic movie. And
Elf.
It was no. God,
Sorry. He is an elf, though.
stop!
He's an elf. Is it not okay to call him an elf either? You know?
Why? I don't understand why you have to fight this.
You've seen Game of Thrones. He talks about it.
Oh god.
I don't remember, but I'm excited about the new Game of Thrones, too.
I'm not.
A lot of people aren't.
I'm 7 seasons behind. 6.
Well, no shit, you're not
5 and a
excited.
half.
If you would have seen the last season, you'd be champing at the bit right now.
Dylan, I heard what Dylan said at band practice. He said it was awful. All of it.
Well, to be fair,
The new
Peter
stuff.
Dinklage is in a movie coming up called The Dwarf. That's not. I'm not making that up. It's
That's
right
a little
there.
bit on the nose, don't you think?
It's right there. It says it.
Okay,
And he's
well-
also in Rumpelstiltskin as Rumpelstiltskin.
That sounds great.
That's
Dwarf
racist.
Sounds like a movie made out of dinkleberries.
Yes,
I'm
here's
outta
the
here.
movie. It's
I
called
can't-
I Think We're Alone Now, and it's Peter Dinklage in a post-apocalyptic movie
Do you think they're going to use
really
that Tiffany song as the theme song?
Dude, if they do, he's playing John Goodman's character crawling out of the acid vat from Cloverfield Lane.
Shit. That's what they need to do. They need to have
survived, but he
need to
shrank.
have these like bubbly 80s pop songs as like the song narrative for these like dark post-apocalyptic. Like they need to redo
The Strangers Pray at Night literally did that.
Yeah, well, like they need to redo like Cormac McCarthy's The Road, except like the theme song needs to be Heaven is a Place on Earth by Linda Carlisle, you know?
Yeah.
How fucking twisted is that?
Oh God, that's
That's
awful.
like it's like in Strangers Pray at Night where she's in the cop's truck and trying to get it to start, and the other truck pulls up, and that's what's playing. Is I Think We're Alone Now, because it's just the masked
Is it
guy
really?
and the girl in the truck,
Wow.
and he turns it up and stares at her, and then he drives away, and that's when he goes up around and like T-bones the shit out of the truck.
Tell you another
Dude,
good
what if
series.
they did an
Go on.
EDM minor key version of Hungry Like the Wolf in The Road, but it's the cannibal scene where he finds that basement
I've had it
filled
with you.
like
I have had it with you already.
up people.
We are barely into this podcast.
This episode is already a shit show, guys.
This is swirling in the bowl. We're bouncing into DC plot lines right now.
Hey, they make a lot of money though.
Fair enough. So anything? I have a little thing we could kind of talk about. If you have a little story to tell,
You have a little dinklage.
there was a bit. I have a little dinklage for you.
Stop. Fucking stop.
So there was I'm just thinking in the back of my mind, what are we going to name this episode? And like,
Not that. None of that.
listen, buddy. So this week in Knoxville,
We
there
can
was
call it two midgets walk into a bar.
I'm waiting for you to just go on and give us the punchline there.
It's little people. I learned that in that Spider-Man. That Spider-Man. There's a little person.
Here's another episode we're going to have to bleep out everything.
Fuck. So look, this weekend in Knoxville, there was a big convention. Do you guys know what it was?
Bassmaster.
Bassmasters.
My wife is working it right now.
Is she really? Okay.
Yeah, that's where they're
well,
at.
I had a bunch of employees that had to go work at it too. So anyway, I don't really know. I mean, I know it's like a fishing thing. And again, listen, let me go ahead and make a public service announcement here. I know we live in East Tennessee. I know a lot of people like to fish. I don't have a problem with it. I have no problem with that culture. I love living in East Tennessee. I think the people here are salt of the earth. I think it's a good place. I'm not shitting on anybody culturally. It's not my thing. I'm also not into hunting.
This is the equivalent of, I'm not racist, but
Listen,
it's not anywhere near.
there's a whole culture around fishing that I totally am completely separated from and don't necessarily understand, but I can observe it. Okay. So at one point, I'll just give you the little update. I had to go with,
So you're like an agnostic outdoorsman?
not even remotely, you fucking squab nuts. Will you just shut up right now? Good God. Anyway, I was downtown and I saw like a big truck. And when I mean a big truck, I mean a very elaborate, like, it was almost a tank.
Did it have fins?
It had like 18 wheels in the back and like it was crazy, but it was a pickup truck and it was pulling the most elaborate boat I've ever, like the most elaborate, like small boat I've ever seen. And the boat was full of guys like riding in the boat being pulled by the truck. And they all had like, like Oakley sunglasses on and like they were pointing at everybody going down the road.
saw
like
that.
Like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
parade. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck is happening right now, but if you're into fishing, whoever those guys are probably like rock stars. They're probably famous bass fishermen. Anyway,
Fisher people.
So, so I observed a little bit of what was going on. It's a big thing, and I get it. People came from all over the United States to fish here, I guess. And so, anyway. So one of my employees came back from Thompson Bowling Arena where they have the big thing. And I said, what do they do? Like they don't fish in the arena. She goes, no. They go out and fish during the day. And then the big thing, the big celebration is at night at the arena. I go, what is it? She goes, oh my God. It's just, okay. And it's our friend Ariel. Okay. She's up there. And she said that like what happens is like the lights go out like a wrestling event and you hear this like crazy music and all of the boats have a different music. Some of them have like real hardcore rap. She goes, but it's all like middle-aged white guys. So and what happens is like they start slowly driving the boats into the arena and there's like crazy lights going on and you expect like Hulk Hogan or somebody is going to come down, like Glenn Jacobs is going to come barreling down and like put somebody in a pile driver, and instead slowly this like bass boat comes into the middle of the arena and all the lights go on it and the guys get up and they're like running around hyping everybody up. Yeah, what? And it's just a boat and there's like crazy music playing and all this. And then I said, so what happens then? Do the boats like fight? And she goes, no. They reach down into these coolers and they pull these fish out.
And everyone screams.
And everyone screams at the fish, and they hold the fish and they shake them, and everybody's going nuts, and the music gets louder, like, and they're holding these fish up. And then they weigh the fish, and like it weighs how big they are. And then they're like, yeah, and the score goes up. And then like the next boat comes in, and the lights go back out, and the music comes back on, and it's gangster rap, or it's like real like Aerosmith.
Dude,
Metallica.
they were playing John Cena's theme song music from WWE to make announcements, according to Libby.
Okay, so it's like wrestling, but with fishing.
Yeah.
And not like wrestling with fish, but actually wrestling with
Wrestling with fish would be better.
your capacity to catch fish, but hours later in the arena where they've been in a cooler.
I don't know where I would have to be in my life to go and sit in an arena and watch a dude drive a boat into the arena, lift up a fish, put it on the scale, and it says like 17.5 pounds. And I go, that's a good size. Then watch another one come in, put that fish up on the scale, and it says like 17.7. And then I lose my goddamn mind.
Oh, big upset.
I don't see myself ever being interested.
Like, what if you lost your whole, like, your song and everything got lost because the fish you caught, like, took a crap and it was a little bit lighter than the other. Here's another thing, too. It's the same boats for 3 days. So the next day, the same thing happens. The same boats come in, and they put, and she told me, she goes, I couldn't understand why they were doing it all over again. I realized, oh, these are different fish. So they've gone fishing. So they fished during the day, and then they had this like fish ceremony. But listen, if we were trying to describe to an alien race like what was happening in that arena, and it sold out, it like filled hotels all over Knoxville up. You know, but if we were trying to go, well, these people come in and they play this crazy music and they hold fish up, people would think we were fucking nuts.
Yeah. I don't know. The moment I heard that was coming to town, I was like, well, I know what I'm going to do this weekend. Avoid downtown.
Yeah.
It's Bassmaster and St. Patty's Day.
I've been down there 5 times because of
My God.
traveling with
Yeah,
Libby.
traffic's been fucking terrible.
It's been
isn't it?
awful.
I know. I wonder how traffic was on the riverways.
Stop.
I wonder how those northerly winds were blowing.
Stop it.
I heard it was pretty placid until the good old boys got down there.
Fuck.
They started
Anyway.
churning up some activity.
I'm about to turn up some activity on you if you don't watch it with your quips.
You
Hey-o.
keep- that is like we'll leave that alone. You're right. We'll let it slide.
I want to get a little serious for a second, though.
Uh-oh.
I want to take this to a kind of a darker, more serious place.
It's okay to eat fish because they don't have any feelings. Cobain said so.
So you guys heard what happened in New Zealand this weekend, right?
Oh shit! Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm here to tell you, I don't know all the details about it. I know
Same.
of the event, but I don't know. Maybe you can fill us in a little bit.
So apparently, a guy who was, he's claimed very highly the white nationalist, racist, white supremacist kind of guy. He had a bunch of guns with a bunch of awful writing on it, with like slurs and all sorts of crazy shit. Went to 2 mosques and killed, I want to say, upwards 50 plus people, and live streamed it for the first like 10, 15 minutes. He live streamed it to Facebook and YouTube, and all these places on the internet could see it.
Fuck.
The moment it was happening. And it's terrible tragedy that happened in New Zealand. It's absolutely awful. But really what I want to talk about is what can these social medias do to stop something like that from happening?
There was a very good discussion about this recently on the Rogan podcast. He had one of the CEOs or the executives from Twitter, and he was kind of grilling her on like what they choose to.
That was a great episode.
They choose to like censor and what they don't censor and all. And the girl actually had some pretty level-headed responses. She was like, "Look, as soon as we know something's wrong, we pull it."
The guy debating her is a good guest. He's always fascinating
Sure.
to listen to, but he was super combative. Like,
Yeah, he was kind of.
to-
He needed to chill out a little bit. It
chill a
wasn't
bit.
a lateral discussion. Like she actually
Right.
had solid answers, reasonable answers for everything.
And she admitted when she didn't know, which happened quite a bit, which
Yeah.
that's a problem. But then the CEO next to her would be like, that's a problem. We should look into that. And
Sure.
She would say that too. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, and I think you're talking. First, I want to make sure I understand your question. You're saying like, what can social media do to stop people from live streaming god awful
Mass
graphic?
shootings and stuff. Yeah.
Like,
You-
what
you
can
can't.
social media do take from this piece of shit being able to?
You can't.
That's
That's a free world, and I hate to say it, but I prefer that world. I prefer the because the same
that
technology.
seems like you're putting gasoline on a fire.
Well, listen. We're either. I've said this a million times. We're either free or we're not. And along with freedom comes a lot of danger. Freedom means the bad guy also has freedom, but it means you have freedom to defend yourself against the bad guy. It also means you have freedom to reflect on things like a guy live streaming shooting up a mosque. It also means you have like the freedom to like do something about it and like go make a change in the world. And see what I mean?
Yeah.
The type of censorship that that stops people from live streaming anything also stops you from having a voice, an opinion, and it also keeps you dumb. I don't think what happened is a good thing at all, but those things do happen, and it's stupid to pretend that we live in a world where there's not hate and there's not bigotry and there's not evil and all this kind of stuff. I think you're more prepared to deal with those things if you're aware of them. Now, again, I'm not saying so everybody needs to see some murder live on fucking YouTube or whatever live stream every now and then so that they'll be okay. I'm not saying that, not even remotely, but I'm just saying that and then also there's money. These services take money from advertisers or from subscribers to have whatever they want whenever they want. Like we're all in this stupid weird reality show now where, you know what I'm saying? Like where people want to see stuff like that.
Well, there's a breakdown of moral foundation that happens and has been happening for a while. And I think that's where it has to go because these platforms, if they do anything, it will be infringing upon anyone's ability to do something else. And in that case, that's good if it's specifically a violent thing. But then, like Spencer said, the bad guy has freedom. On the flip side, the good people don't have a voice if you shut down everybody to be safe. And that's where like the security versus freedom thing comes in.
Right.
And that's where a moral foundation is important. It doesn't have to be religiously based, which I think is where a lot of the breakdown of that happened because of the nuclear family and all that stuff back in the day.
Sure.
But you can still raise a generation of people to be
critical thinkers
that communicate, that have empathy and compassion for their fellow man, that want to do good things. And those people are out there. But the fact that there's enough people that are amoral, that think we're all in one, swirling shit bowl and it doesn't matter what we do, it's just whatever you can get attention for while you're here, because at the end we all go to the dirt. Even if we do all go to the dirt, like, why would you make it a worse place?
And it also raises the question of, like, just because you don't see something, does that make you safer from it?
I think
put you more at risk.
One of my biggest problems as well, and I'm just going to put this out there. If you're one of those people who shared that video, and people did share that video to the point where Facebook and YouTube had to hunt these people down and like remove them and block the videos they're sharing, you're just as bad. And I feel like that might be kind of a bold statement saying you're just as bad as the guy that committed the crime, the heinous crime. But if you're pushing it and trying to share it with other people, fuck you.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Sure. I mean, either I don't think any type of tribal association with tragedy is good in any sense. Like, so if people are, but again, sometimes, what if somebody shared the video because they were trying to raise awareness of like, somebody might have shared.
There's other ways to raise awareness than sharing that kind of video.
I agree. But again, if we're going to look at social media, it's almost like the minute you log into Facebook, like you pick your fucking phone up and you touch that app to go to whatever, your social media, Twitch, Instagram, anything like, the minute you go into that arena, it's almost like you can't get mad at anything you see there because you're in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only way to make stuff like that go away is just for nobody to use it. Like, the only time that it's going to be safe to never see anything offensive on Facebook or never see anything offensive on YouTube or whatever is to just not look at them. I don't think you can, there's no way you can draw this, like, what's appropriate. And even that's subjective. You know what I mean? I mean, most people would agree it's not okay to see a guy shooting up a mosque. But then where does the line, okay.
That's the problem. Once you draw the moral
where
line,
is the
it
line?
Can shift based on who's in power.
Sure.
That's why the line can't exist.
Religious people would
dangerous.
say that it's not okay to show a lot of stuff that more progressive people would say, no, we need to see these kind of things. And then, but where does that end? Where does the freedom of, like, I don't know.
It sucks. It does suck, though, because like you want that stuff to not be there. And it also, it's not apathetic, but it feels apathetic to say, like you did, that stuff is going to happen anyways.
Sure.
There's definitely not a perfect answer, and I don't even think there's a right answer for this situation.
Sure.
This is something where as Rogan would say, nuance really matters, and investigation, like the Twitter people, like, instead of blanketing something like what you guys were just debating on, what if you were trying to raise awareness, that can be one of those things where you investigate and you go, this person's not pushing it, so we'll put a block on it, a content blocker and a warning. If you click, then it's on you. This person is pushing it. fuck this person.
Sure.
And get rid of them and blah, 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 blah.
And these days, most often, I think what you're seeing is people will call things, if it's blatant, like if there's blatant hate speech in your Twitter feed, if there's blatant this or that and the other, they will sometimes pull the account. And so obviously a guy live streaming a bunch of murders is definitely blatant, but it comes down to like how soon do they see it and how quickly can they pull it down? And is it already, how many servers is it already on? Think how fast.
I want to say it took them, I want to say I read the article and it said that it took him 30 to 45 minutes to even realize he was doing it and take it down.
Sure. And that's
to the point where he actually got to shoot up the first mosque and he was on his way to the next one and he was just talking awful, horrible, hateful shit on the way there.
And another question in my mind is like, where were the local police? Where were the local authorities? The local National Guard? Like, how did this guy have so much time to do all this stuff? Where was
in between? Yeah.
Well, and I think in New Zealand they hadn't had a tragedy like this since 1990.
Yeah, but that's not. I don't think that's a good excuse. Like,
it's a standard excuse, no matter where you are in the world, though.
There are evil people everywhere. There are predators everywhere. I mean, just because it's on the other side of like an ocean doesn't mean there's not going to be a crazy guy in New Zealand. You know.
But I mean, look at 9/11. Like everyone felt insulated. We're super safe.
Yeah.
And nothing's ever going to happen here, which is still a prevailing mentality, despite that only being 20 years old almost.
Yeah.
Then that happens, inside job or not. The immediate reaction next was anyone that has tan Middle Eastern skin is Satan incarnate and is here to kill you. Both of those are bad. You want a free society, you want a safe society, but you can't think that nothing bad will happen, and you also can't find whoever looks like the bad guy and just associate everybody with that too. And humankind judges naturally. So people are going to make those judgments after big tragedies like that. What it takes is, again, a moral fabric ingrained in the society for you to stop yourself and go, that dude's just getting coffee. He's not going to do anything to anybody, and look for suspicious behavior. Because people get away with stuff because they're good at hiding it, and that's fair. But you can generally see some kind of squirrely weaseliness about somebody when they're about to do something that bad.
Yeah. No, I get it. And it's horrible. It's horrible that, and I don't think that's a person that was rational.
Right.
Like, I don't think even in the deepest confines of like white nationalism or whatever, or racism, or like, I still don't think a sane person goes and shoots up a mosque. Like, there's no philosophical justification for that. That person is a psychopath. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, there's not like, there's a big difference in like people that have like class differences and they have philosophical differences and things like that. And sometimes you don't agree, but the whole point, like those guys that were like protesting the taking down of that statue, like the Confederate guys or whatever like that, probably racist. Yeah, maybe nationalist. Yeah, maybe, but like nonviolent. You know what I mean? Like doing a protest, like, again, not everybody agreed with it, but at the same time, there was like all the fighting was coming from the opposition. These people are just peacefully demonstrating. There's a big difference in that and like a guy walking down the street with a rifle.
That's where MLK's example is super important. Everybody gets all up in arms about the KKK marching on Washington every year like they do. They should be allowed to. But everybody else should be on the sidelines and allowed, as long as no one is throwing any fists on either side, be allowed to let them know how fucking stupid they are. Yeah, and if you want to reach them, maybe actually, I don't know how you would do it, so caveat there, but maybe love them through that situation instead. Show them that,
the big answers are never easy. Mm-hmm. The big answers are like that you have to find your enemy and find a way to love your enemy. Somehow, you have to protect yourself. You have to insulate yourself from your enemy. You have to be prepared to handle your enemy if he proposes a threat to you, and maybe even handle him in such a way that it's never a problem again. Like, you might have to kill somebody one day to protect yourself or your family. Something. I mean, we don't know, but at the same time, like, that whole idea that just like an opposing viewpoint or like something you don't agree with exists in the world is just like unfathomable, so much that you would go out in public and scream and pull your hair and rant and throw stuff and break windows just because there was an opposing opinion about something. Like, that's insane, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like the freedom that provides them the right to show up provides you the right to show up, and you might have a conversation. God forbid. How many things do you think? I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying that everybody is worth like a big long conversation, but you can always turn your head the other way. You can always go, yeah, I don't agree with that. I'm not going to do that. Or you can go up to them and provide like civil discourse. Like, hey, I'd like to talk to you about some of the things you say. I don't necessarily agree with them, but like maybe I'm just not seeing it right. Could you help me understand? Okay, well, I happen to disagree. Here's what I think, blah, blah, blah. But at some point, two humans meet at a point that's not shitty, you know? Like that to me is like would be inspiring to see a little more of that and a little less like people throwing fucking bricks at each other from two sides of the street, you know?
Yeah.
I digress.
Now, with this discussion, I'm going to go a little adjacent here. Do you think with this whole live stream and this whole incident that this may be the start of the downfall of social media?
No.
Or do you think it's too big and too powerful?
I don't think it's too big and too powerful, but I think as it exists right now, it's too big and too powerful.
And again, I think that I wish I could say it's about freedom. Like, no, people want their freedom. They want social media. They want like if that happens to shut down. What was the platform, by the way? Is it YouTube?
Oh, he had
Everywhere.
He had like a GoPro attached to it. I guess like the way they said it was like a helmet cam,
Right.
And he live streamed it everywhere.
So on all platforms.
Instagram, Facebook,
Got
YouTube, and then people took it and shared it onto like Reddit, Twitter.
Got
and
it.
Like the moment it started, it bled everywhere.
Yeah. Man, that reminds me of a line in the fucking Phil Collins song off the album No Jack. No, I'm sorry,
No Jack
Genesis.
Required is a
No,
good
it was
album.
Genesis. He did that album Genesis in the 80s after he was already big, but there was a song called Domino Part 1 and Part 2, and most people have never heard him. And it's this big, like kind of elaborate 2-part epic fucking song, but there's a part near the end where he says, did you see last night on the TV? Such a terrible thing on the TV. Maybe if we're lucky, they'll show it again. Such a terrible thing to see. Mm-hmm. And it talks about like our addiction to like
Watching that shit.
watching that stuff, you know?
I mean, even in the simplest example, you have people stopping traffic at a standstill so they can take a picture or like video or
Rubberneckers.
Yeah, and they, I got off work the other morning, driving home from work. It was in standstill traffic, and I was like, "What is happening?" And I was in traffic for an hour, going from downtown Knoxville to Cedar Bluff, and it just happened to be this person. These two people got into a fender bender, and they're on the side of the road with a cop. That was it. But everybody wanted to stop and see if anybody was hurt.
Yeah, they want to see if there's going to be like blood. They want to see if there's a hand hanging out the window.
Yeah.
Like there's the morbid curiosities they talk about. I don't necessarily think those curiosities are bad. I think that in a way that they lift kind of the same reason that you watch horror movies. Like that's a good question. Like consider that. Well, what if I were to ask you the question, psychologically, if it's bad for this guy to live stream this people getting shot at a mosque, then how is it okay for you to watch people getting their skin shaved off in a horror movie?
Because it's fake.
First of all, I hate gore porn, so I don't watch those movies.
Sure.
Second of all, one's fake and done by actors.
Right.
One of them is real.
100%. And that's the
real
obvious
people are
answer.
being attacked.
That's the obvious answer, that it's fake, just like video games. If you can blow away 50 guys in a video game, but then get mad that a guy shot a mosque up, like, well, because it's fake. But somewhere in the psychology of it, you're still witnessing the same thing. And the fact that it could be entertaining, even if it is fake, the fact that to human beings, things that are sort of like edgy like that are entertaining and they get us like excited, that's the reason that there's always going to be the danger of seeing something terrible. You see what I mean? There's like a dark side to life, I think is what I'm saying. And if you can make a fake version of it and sell it as entertainment, do you see what I'm getting at? Even if it is fake, people still pay to see it. People still pay to see heads chopped off and people liquefied in car accidents and all this. People are exhilarated by it. Do you get what I'm saying? That's exactly the type of society that's going to open social media one day and see a guy shooting up a mosque.
It's what Black Mirror is about, though. It's why, going as far back as the episode where we talked about it, why I did not hate the one where the dude fucked a pig.
Sure.
Look, all I'm saying is that when you have something like a horror movie or a violent video game, that gives somebody the psychological
fulfillment of getting to see it
without having to perform a heinous act like this.
Yeah.
But it gives you the ability to peel back the curtain. And it's probably, I mean, even when I say it, I feel weird about it because I feel like there's more to it than that. Because there's some video games that aren't like that give people enjoyment. Like, you have your favorite cartoon characters fighting.
Sure.
You have a game like
Disney games,
Super Smash.
Kingdom Hearts or whatever.
Super Smash Bros. Has Mario and Yoshi punching each other in the face.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you could, if you wanted to delve deep enough, you could find something to, for that argument in that. But I feel like that's the kind of balance is people do watch horror movies and do play violent video games to let off the stress to not have to lead up to that point of doing something as heinous as that.
And I agree with you 100%. Like, you've talked to me. I like really twisted shit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so into like dark movies and gory and as long as
I'm
it's
not big on overly use of blood.
I like gore when it's done in a cool way. Like even if it's a shocking way. Like I said, Martyrs, the movie Martyrs, is so painful to watch sometimes, but at the same time, it's the guy that directed Brotherhood of the Wolf, so it fucking rules. It's paced really well, and even the use of gore, all the shocks that it stimulates, like it's all done very cleverly. Like it's done to a wonderful effect, and it's kind of the same effect of like watching like Pulp Fiction or something, anyway, but no, I think the same thing too. I think it's like pretending, like when you're kids and you pretend like you're having like a pretend gunfight or something. You're not actually thinking it's okay for people to die. But you're still thinking like it's like you're saying, what if this were to happen? Wouldn't that be crazy? And it's the idea is exciting.
The imagination of it.
Imagining even a terrible scenario is like horror novels. Like look at all the wonderful stuff written by Clive Barker and Stephen King and Dean Koontz and Nick Cutter. You know what I mean? Like nobody wants that stuff to come true. Hopefully nobody's hoping that that's a good thing to happen, but it's exhilarating to read about what if. And I think that I don't know. I agree with you totally. Like if you get into that kind of stuff, and again, we may be dealing with something else here. Like if this guy was like this super racist, like white nationalist type guy, then this is like a hate crime. He's not thinking it's actually cool to shoot people and watch their head explode and watch the guts and the brain and the bits of like eyeball go everywhere. This guy's thinking like he needs to eradicate these people. And that to me is a lot scarier than just like the goriness of it or how graphic it might have looked for a couple minutes on YouTube or whatever. I think just the idea behind that the world isn't big enough for both of you, that's terrifying to me,
Now, I have another kind of question in this scenario. How do we take something like this that happened? The guy survived, he got arrested, and now he's all over the news and he's infamous. Mm-hmm. How do you make it to where they don't get infamous and get on the news, but still cover the story?
Philip DeFranco. He'll, if I remember correctly, he uses the name, but that's as far as he goes. He'll use the name, discuss victims, show victim stuff. He won't show the footage of anything. He'll link if you want to watch it. Sometimes he never shows the image of the person, all the way down to talking about the Ted Bundy Netflix movie or whatever, the preview that has Zac Efron.
Yeah.
And when people got pissed about that, he talked about it because it's a story. And I checked that he wouldn't use the name either. He was like, you can find it if you Google it, but we're not going to show the guy's face and we're not going to use his name, even though this guy's long gone.
But here's the thing. Do you think that would help if the news just quit giving...
I do, yeah.
Well, a lot of people say that. They say,
for
for starters, don't make these people famous. Mm-hmm. Don't make them famous at all for what they've done. Just let this be like a story about this tragic thing happened and tell the details of the murdering, but don't show the guy. Don't talk about the guy. Supposedly, and I'm not sure that all these people do these things to get famous.
But some of them do. So
some
that's
of them
where
do.
The argument comes.
That's true. Some of them do. But regardless, studies by the FBI have shown that a lot of people that do horrible things like this, at some point, expect to become godlike from it, at least in the opinions of other people. So that's not making them famous is a great first start. I mean, that's something that we have control over. It's hard to control somebody that has just a lot of crazy ideas. And you don't know if you're at fucking the dollar store standing in line next to some fruitcake that might think that anybody wearing the shirt you're wearing needs to be cut up out in the parking lot. You can't control that other than to just try to be prepared and be aware of your surroundings all the time and just be ready for some shit, But you can definitely control the media and how it responds to these kind of things. And, I'm one of these guys that kind of believes that we're kind of always being programmed by the media anyway. So when something like this happens, the way they catch hold of it and the way that they talk about it is always suspicious, I think, and you kind of wonder, well, what's the real truth? Is this really necessary? What are other people going to think,
Yeah, I don't think that it would completely stop it, but I think that it would.
It's definitely a good start.
It would put some sort of
cap on it.
I don't know if cap is the. I guess yeah, but it would
Maybe.
make it to where some people would be like, oh well, the news isn't covering this, so this big thing that I have planned because I want to be on TV and be famous before I get put down.
Sure.
Well, see, there's no transcendent place in the zeitgeist if you're not allowed to actually be there. If you do the thing and they report the crime, every detail except who you are, then you just vanish as some unknown ghoul.
And I'll tell you what, regardless of whether that works or if the news stations are going to accept responsibility for making people infamous, and I think one thing that you can do, and, God forbid, like anybody that's listening to this, if you have kids, if you have a family, or even if you have just like a friend group or something like that, anybody that might listen to you for any reason, like I think a good way to start would be by telling them, hey, look, you hear about this thing happened, you know about it. That's not a good thing, right? That was a terrible thing that guy did. And he's not to be respected. And even though it's all over Facebook or whatever, that's not okay. It's not okay that they're making a big deal out of him. He is nothing. And be sure that you don't ever get any weird ideas about one person being better. I mean, you can see what I mean? Mm-hmm. We could at least start, I always say this, we start in our own backyard, but
It's true though.
It kind of, I can't go to Washington and get on TV and make a big speech about all right, violent crime, you motherfuckers, I'm about to tell you. But you know what I mean? But I could at least, if I'm around people and you have a conversation at the water cooler or whatever, you go, yeah, man, that's terrible. It sucks. It's just amazing to me that racism still exists. How? Yeah. How? In 2019, how? But you have these weird echo chambers, and I get that there's other parts of the world we don't see, and things happen in those parts of the world. But at the same time, we can talk about morality and we can talk about stuff like that. But I think it starts with, you and whoever is listening to you, maybe.
You guys have anything to lighten up the mood? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring it down.
I do, actually.
It's okay.
But
I
felt like we needed to. This is something I wanted to talk about. So
No,
okay. And think how many times we've talked about we did the Real American Horror episode. Remember where we talked about real serial killers and that stuff's fascinating. Mm-hmm. It was not fascinating in the way that they're good people, but it's fascinating in the sense that this was a very crazy thing that happened here in America or wherever. Crazy things happen. It's okay to go, wow, what's that thing that happened over there? I want to learn about that thing. As long as you don't also become like the guy.
Yeah.
So I had, to lighten the mood, I had something happen to me 2 weeks ago, and it occurred to me I didn't tell you guys, I think. Stop me if I did.
2 weeks ago, you weren't fucking here, so yeah, you didn't tell us.
There you go. Yeah. No, he's right.
Yeah, if everybody if everybody hasn't realized our episode 2 episodes ago,
Automated,
where Hunter wasn't actually here.
Yeah, that's why everything I'm saying is so
bizarre. Yeah, and a shout out to our friend Leslie, who we love, and she we want to have her back soon, and hopefully we're all going to see some movies together. And she had messaged me and she goes, man, I'm listening to the new episode, and Hunter seems really dialed out. He just doesn't seem and I was like, it's funny, he wasn't actually in the room. And for everybody that knows, or if you don't know, if you listen to that and thought man, he didn't say he wasn't actually here. And so a week Casey and I left all these gaps. And then a week later, I told Hunter, I was like, I want to record you just reacting to just nothing. And you don't get any context. I'm going to record you saying about 5 things as if you've been asked a question.
So I think you guys are going to love this story. My wife is in the room, Libby. It's the Books A Million incident from 2 weeks ago. They haven't heard about this.
Oh, let's go. I'm ready.
I get back from my lunch break, and I'm in the cafe with one of my coworkers. Please bleep out the business. I forgot we can't talk about the business part. I named it. But I'm in the cafe. It's not even been 2 minutes. So the person covering my break hasn't left, and a police officer pulls up to the front, in front of the windows, and walks in. Puts his gloves on too, and I was like, "That's weird
gloves
for coffee." Yeah, that's what I was saying. I thought he was just stopping to get coffee, and then he put gloves on. I'm like, okay. What is this?
Maybe he anticipated the coffee being extremely hot.
I'd hope that's what it was. That's not what it was. He came in.
Hey, I love when Casey goes, hey.
He came in, walked up to the counter and goes, hey, we got a call about someone trying to break into some cars in the parking lot. Do you know anything about that? I had literally, again, not 2 minutes, been back. So I was like, nope, I just got back from my lunch break. I have no idea. Looked to the coworker. I said, did you see anything? She's like, no. And I was like, let me get my manager. They might have been the person that called you. I have no idea. He goes, okay, cool, no problem. Walks over to register to wait for the manager to show up. In the meantime, a second police officer I see driving through the parking lot, pulls up behind him, comes into the cafe, waves at us, walks over to register where the manager is now talking to the other cop. While the manager is talking to the cops, obviously we can't hear what's being said, but I do see my manager start to go, oh, no, like that. And I was like, that's weird. My coworker goes, yeah, they keep looking over here. And I was like, you sure?
They're eyeballing Hunter.
She goes, yeah, they keep looking over here. So I start watching. I was like, I don't see any, but I wasn't breaking into cars, so it's okay if they're looking over here. And she goes, well, it wasn't me either. Then the cops are walking over. They got these big smiles on their faces. And the first cop is just ear to ear grinning. And the second cop that came in walks up to the counter. He goes, hey, are you Hunter? I was like, yeah. And he goes, are you diabetic? And I said, yeah. And he goes, okay, in the future, you might want to be a little more discreet. We got to call someone who was shooting up heroin in the parking lot.
Whoa.
Some fucker took a picture of me while I was injecting myself and sent it to KPD.
Dude, you need to get more. You need to just get way more graphic with it now. Like, you need to
That's
just
what we
tear
were
your
talking
shirt
about.
off,
Yeah,
wear
yeah.
like a weird loincloth, just like inject it into your neck, like just wag your tongue.
Me and the manager were talking about, like, I'll roll my eyes up from now on. He said I should start carrying a spoon in my kit in case anyone looks.
You should go out there in like nothing but just like obnoxious socks and an adult diaper.
Yeah.
And growl loud, like, and fucking start, maybe not.
It's like, I don't mean to be a smartass, but how do I go about being more discreet? And he goes, I was like, I was in my car. He goes, hey, you didn't do anything wrong, so don't worry about it. But, I'm not going to tell you to go to the bathroom. And I was like, well, that's what you're implying.
There's also a break room in your business that there's, not the public watching you.
Right. But I was already late for my lunch break, so I just did it in the car.
That's right. You leave for your lunch.
Yeah. I generally try to be discreet about it, but I didn't
do it at home.
I didn't know anybody was watching me.
Hey, dude, I wonder who it was. You think if somebody like works near there, like at Sonic or something?
They thought it might have been somebody from Party City or something, but I was like,
because they've got a lot better to do. You know what?
Yeah.
Offense, if you love Party City or you work at Party City, no offense, but I'm here to tell you, like, if you really are so bored with watching the fucking pinatas that you've got to go outside and give Hunter a hard time for shooting up his diabetes, eat shit.
I'm here to tell you, if you can't recognize someone has a medical kit in their lap while they're doing that, I get it, and you're being a concerned citizen and a busybody.
This heroin addict's very prepared.
But yeah, if you see someone taking heroin by injecting it into their tricep, you might want to knock on the window to instruct them how to do it properly first. And then call the cops.
Yeah. One time our friend Rachel and I saw somebody actually that was shooting up heroin in that parking lot, and they tried to drive off and passed out, and the car just went in a big circle and ran into another car. And we were like, oh, crap, somebody's had a heart attack or something. We were sitting out in front.
There's a corner of that whole center under the trees on the far end where the martial arts academy is.
This was like right over in front of Gold's Gym. And
that area of the parking lot tends to have stuff
happening. And like I remember we saw a car pulling out and start to do this weird, it was backing up, and it was like an old like Trailblazer, like a 90s Trailblazer, and it was backing up in like a weird circle, and it never straightened out and drove off. It just kept going in a weird circle all the way back around to where it was, and it ran into the car next to it and stopped. And we thought, oh fuck, somebody's had a heart attack or something, or passed out or something like that. So we like called the cops immediately and like walked over there. And at this point, a bunch of other people gathered around the car, and they were beating on the window, trying to get the person to open the door. And finally, a guy pulled the door open, and as soon as the door opened, it was like a girl sitting in the car, slumped all the way over, and there was still a needle hanging out of her arm.
Nope.
Yeah. The cops were very nice, though. So.
They took a pic. So they went up to your car and took a picture. Did you not see someone like?
They didn't go up to the car, so I don't. From my understanding,
how did they see you?
It was in my arm. This one I was doing in my arm.
Don't do that. Do it in your belly. That's less.
I know. I was like, I should maybe not do it in my arm in public.
No heroin addicts ever folded their belly and then injected heroin into their stomach.
This person clearly didn't know anyway.
You know what? It should be up to them to decide if it like it's not your fault they're uncomfortable. You should like try wearing different hats and stuff. One time, wear a headband out there and do it. See what they do. You know. Find out the outfit that makes people the most uncomfortable when you shoot up.
Just go over there, and I just don't understand why someone didn't knock on the window.
Sometimes.
I guess that
doesn't help.
That seems kind of stupid. If you're
Yeah,
heroin
that's
addict,
what
if you're heroin addict shooting up and someone knocks on the window, go, "You diabetic?" Yes. All right.
That's just like
Walk away.
the information people carry with them. And I was really angry, and I'm still bothered, but not angry anymore, that someone snuck a picture of me. I was like, come on, dude. Even if that is what I'm doing, like, fuck. I think it was a customer, though. I take this back because they reported that the person that did it was working at the coffee bar. And I was like, the only way you could know that I was working at the coffee bar is if you had seen me in the coffee bar manning it.
Or somebody that works in a nearby business and sees you behind the counter a lot.
Yeah, that type of thing. But
it could have just been a coworker like totally taking the piss out of you, you know?
See, that's what my manager thought. He thought the cops knew me and they were fucking with him.
I thought that's where the story was going to go. Is your brother sent them.
Yeah.
It's like a joke.
It's pretty funny.
That's something he would do.
I will
but
say,
no.
this actually is perfect that you told this story because it just fortifies my belief of minding your own goddamn business.
There you go.
That's true.
If you see someone doing something in their car, mind your own business. Keep walking.
That was where I was going. Like if they're not hurting somebody else, leave them the fuck alone.
Look,
I think you should use
if
this.
I was walking in a parking lot and I looked in a window and saw someone shooting up, whether it was their diabetes medicine or an illegal substance, I would mind my own business, get in my car, drive away, and be like, "That's a shame," or maybe not.
Yeah, no, but I think you should use this as an opportunity. Like now, you know, people are watching. Like every time I go out there, I do some crazy dance, you know,
like splay yourself sexily across your car and do it.
I am watching. I had to take.
I would act
insulin.
so fucking bizarre every time I went out that door.
I had to take insulin when I got here before you guys, and I had the windows rolled down, and I was like, "Shit." I used my stomach earlier today. You have to rotate them so you don't get scar tissue. I was like, I guess I'm doing my arm. So I got my arm ready and I started to inject and I looked around and it's worse now because before I never did. And now I'm like from the outside in, because there were 2 other cars in the parking lot that had people in them. There's a skinny
dude. It's perfect. It's perfect.
In a beat up car.
You can't get in trouble for it. I would be so weird.
All the way around.
I'd lock eyes with every single person. I'd howl. I would just howl from the driver's seat. Ow! I mean, quit being a bitch and pill me up.
Well, I had to take pills that day too.
I will say,
my blood sugar dropped too low.
Since we've been doing this podcast, there's been 3 instances where we've left from doing our recording, and a cop has circled the parking lot and then left.
More than 3.
Because Hunter's shooting up. That's why.
Oh yeah. I wonder if that's it. Like you do that before, and like the
Fucking
people in the
Scarface
businesses
over
nearby.
That'd be really funny.
I would love for like a cop to be like, "What are you guys doing in there?" It's like, "Oh, we're doing a podcast," and then like bring them in here and show them
and put him on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, how suspicious were you of us, sir?
Very.
Can I hold your gun?
That was the other thing that
Especially
made me
your
feel,
heroin addict friend over here.
Does that belt weigh a lot?
That was the part that made me feel good because I know I look like just haggard shit all the time. The first cop that came in after his friend talked to me about you're diabetic and blah, blah, blah.
His other cop friend's like, "Well, you do look like a heroin addict."
No. That was he comes in and he goes, "Okay, so the report happened, but I came in and you clearly weren't on anything, so something was up," which is why we went to talk to your manager. And I was like, well, it's good that they take a look at me and go, he's sober. I don't know how you see that, but that's true. Well, they would probably know.
Because insulin doesn't make you like, pass the fuck out walking, in a full sprint. Like you're not walking and then clump over with a needle hanging out of your arm or in a car.
That's true. He took one look at me and was like, nope, so something's up. But he knew it was me. He was scoping me out.
That kid looks like he's got plenty of insulin in his pancreas.
Yep. He's not a diabetic. We're cracking down on those.
Cracking down. Well, I feel like we've come full circle, folks.
All right.
Me, I'm supposed to...
Just shooting up some stuff today.
Hunter's a heroin addict. Hunter's a heroin addict.
Shooting up stuff today.
Hunter's a heroin addict.
It's in KPD.
Hunter's a heroin addict.
They're gonna investigate because I'm shooting up today.
Hunter, put down the needle.
Oh my.